Imagine a man whose mind was centuries ahead of his time, a painter who gave us the mysterious Mona Lisa, a scientist who studied the human body like no one before, and an inventor who dreamed of flying long before planes existed. He was an artist, engineer, and visionary rolled into one, Leonardo da Vinci. But who was the man behind the genius? What drove him to create, to explore, and to imagine the impossible? In this video, we're diving deep into the life of the ultimate Renaissance man. Get ready for a journey through time, filled with art, science, and the extraordinary mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Stay with us, because this story will inspire you to see the world in a whole new way. On April 15th, 1452, a child was born in Anciano, near the small town of Venice in the Republic of Florence, Italy. Born to Ser Piero, a notary and landowner who held an important position in the neighborhood, and Caterina, a young peasant woman, this child was a child of extraordinary intelligence, who was able to turn a new page in history. At the time of the child's birth, his parents were not married, and the child was born as an illegitimate child. Since the child's father was married to a traditional family, he initially lived with his mother's family background, namely with his uncle and grandparents, and later, when he was around 5 years old, he was legally taken under his father's guardianship. After that, he lived with his father and stepmother on the family's plantation. This child was none other than Leonardo da Vinci, who showed himself to the world as a genius in many areas, capable of turning a new page in history. The moment this name is mentioned, the famous Mona Lisa painting immediately comes to mind. His name and this painting are so deeply ingrained in our blood. Although Leonardo grew up under his father and received a standard primary education, he did not seriously study the Latin language, advanced mathematics, advanced geometry, and arithmetic until he was around 30 years old. He did not intend to follow in his father's footsteps or conform to social conventions. Young Leonardo showed a strong desire to be free and was a boy who could not remain still. Because the world around him was extremely fascinating, he spent most of his day carefully observing and thinking about certain things in his environment. For this reason, his classroom was not the school, but the Tuscan countryside. He would spend hours looking at flying birds, contemplating what made their wings so perfect. Similarly, he would kneel by streams and spend hours observing the paths of water and the patterns that form. He was not merely looking, but was creating images and accurately understanding even the smallest details. He didn't just see the world, he questioned it. Why does light fall a certain way through the leaves of a tree? How do animals move with such grace? His curiosity wasn't confined to one thing. It spread like wildfire, igniting his imagination. Perhaps it was this unstructured, wonder-filled childhood that planted the seeds of his genius. With no one telling him what he had to be, Leonardo began to figure out what he wanted to be. And as he observed the beauty and complexity of nature, he unknowingly set the foundation for the incredible life that lay ahead. Leonardo wasn't just a child in Vinci. He was a boy with an insatiable thirst to understand the world, someone destined to turn that small village into a name known across the globe. Leonardo wasn't just a child in Vinci. He was a boy with an insatiable thirst for understanding the world, someone destined to turn that small village into a name known worldwide. Recognizing Leonardo's artistic inclinations, His father sent him to the city's most famous painter, Andrea del Verrocchio, at the age of 14. Under him, Leonardo received a multidisciplinary training that included painting and sculpture, as well as the technical mechanical arts. More than other artists, Leonardo questioned everything. He was interested not only in creating art, but also in understanding the fundamental nature of creation. He was a painter, sculptor, architect, and engineer. But he went beyond that. He used his great intelligence, extraordinary powers of observation, and mastery of the art of drawing to study nature, a line of inquiry that allowed his dual pursuits of art and science to flourish. At the age of 20, in 1472, Da Vinci became a member of the Guild of St. Luke in Florence as a master artist. He then established his own workshops. However, he continued to collaborate with Verrocchio for another 5 years. Leonardo worked not only in Verrocchio's workshop, but also in the workshop of his neighbor, the artist Antonio Pagliuolo. Verrocchio, a skilled artist, saw potential in Leonardo. As part of his training, Leonardo worked with his master and other apprentices on various projects. It was common for several hands to contribute to a single work of art. In 1475, Del Verrocchio, with the help of his student, completed the painting, The Baptism of Christ. Leonardo was commissioned to paint an angel holding Jesus' garment. What an angel it was! Using techniques that demonstrated a high level of understanding of light, texture, and human emotion, Leonardo created something so lifelike that it surpassed the rest of the painting. Verrocchio was so impressed by Leonardo's contribution that he was so humbled that he is said to have never picked up a paintbrush again. Leonardo eventually became a salaried employee in Verrocchio's studio. In 1478, he left Del Verrocchio's studio and worked independently in Florence until 1481. Here, the young Leonardo was commissioned to create 2 major paintings: an altarpiece for the Church of San Bernardo in the Palazzo della Signoria, which he never began, and the other is the Adoration of the Magi, commissioned by the Augustinian friars for the Church of San Donato in 1481. However, the young artist left both paintings unfinished when he left Florence. The fact that he abandoned both projects suggests that he had deep reasons for leaving Florence. By this time, Florence was a republic, but it was under the influence of a single powerful family, led by Lorenzo de' Medici. The ruler of Milan at this time was Ludovico Sforza, Duke of Florence. In 1482, the Medici, who had become the ruler of Florence, commissioned Da Vinci to create a silver lyre and take it to Ludovico Sforza in Milan as a peace gift. It may have been an opportunity that Da Vinci had been looking for, as it was an opportunity to go somewhere where his knowledge would be valued. Due to the relationship that developed between the Duke of Milan and Da Vinci applied for a job and sent a letter to the Duke of Milan. The letter barely mentioned his considerable talents as an artist, instead emphasizing his more marketable skills as a military engineer. Impressed by Da Vinci's letter, Ludovico of Milan invited Da Vinci to Milan. Taking full advantage of this opportunity, the 30-year-old Da Vinci moved from Florence to Milan. The move from Florence to Milan may have been motivated by the Neoplatonism and more rigorous academic atmosphere of Milan, as well as the brilliant court of the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, and the ambitious projects awaiting him. Leonardo spent 17 years in Milan, from 1482 to 1499, until the fall of Ludovico. He was listed in the royal family records as the artist and engineer to the Duke of Milan. In 1482, Leonardo arrived in Milan and signed a contract to work with Ludovico Sforza. He initially worked on designing war machines, developing conservation techniques, and demonstrating his technical skills to the ruler. There, Da Vinci used his creative mind to sketch war machines such as a chariot with sickle blades mounted on both sides, an armored tank propelled by two men wielding a shaft, and a massive crossbow that required an army of small men to operate. The Vitruvian Man, created by Da Vinci in pen and ink around 1490, based on the ideas of the Roman architect Vitruvius, is one of Leonardo da Vinci's most remarkable and famous drawings. The art and science of this design are perfectly intertwined. It depicts a nude male figure in two superimposed positions, one with the arms and legs extended outwards, the other with them held close to the body. The figure is set within two geometric shapes, a square and a circle. The figure is inscribed with Leonardo's characteristic mirror writing, reverse script. These notes explain the mathematical proportions of the human body as described by Vitruvius. That is, the length of a man's arms is equal to his height. The distance between the outstretched arms is equal to the diameter of the circle. The navel is the central point of the body and serves as the center of the circle. Other proportional relationships, such as the distance from the chin to the top of the head being 1/8 of the total height. Around 1495, Ludovico Sforza, then Duke of Milan, commissioned Da Vinci to paint the Last Supper on the back wall of the dining hall in the monastery of Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan. This masterpiece, which took nearly 3 years to complete, captures the drama of the moment when Jesus announces that one of the 12 apostles gathered for the Passover meal will soon betray him. The range of facial expressions and body language of the figures around the table bring the exquisite composition to life. Da Vinci's decision to apply tempera and oil paint to dried plaster rather than painting on fresh plaster caused the Last Supper to quickly deteriorate and crack. Although improper restoration further damaged the fresco, it has now been stabilized using modern conservation techniques. Ludovico Sforza wanted to erect a bronze equestrian statue in honor of the founder of his dynasty, Francesco Sforza. This was the real reason why Ludovico invited Leonardo da Vinci to Milan. Thus, upon arriving in Milan, Da Vinci was commissioned by Ludovico to sculpt a 16-foot tall bronze equestrian statue. With the help of apprentices and students in his workshop, Da Vinci worked on the project on and off for 12 years. In 1493, Emperor Maximilian put the clay model of the horse on public display when he married Bianca Maria Sforza. The 16-foot, 5 colossal figure was ready to be cast, but the project was halted when the war with France required the bronze to be used for cannons rather than sculptures, and the metal that was ready to be cast for the statue was used to make cannons. After the French army invaded Milan in 1499, the clay model was shot to pieces, leaving it in ruins. Shortly after the French triumphant entry into Milan in 1499, Leonardo, accompanied by the mathematician Luca Pacioli, left the city in February 1500 for Mantua, then in March to Venice, and then to his native Florence. After a long absence, Leonardo was highly regarded by the Florentines. He preferred the study of mathematics to drawing. Due to his passion for mathematics, he left Florence in the summer of 1502 to serve as senior military architect and general engineer in the army of Cesare Borgia, the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI. During this time, Leonardo produced several city plans and geographical maps. In the spring of 1503, Leonardo returned to Florence. He came to help with a special project to divert the Arno River behind Pisa, which was besieged by the Florentines. This would then deprive the besieged city of access to the sea. But this plan proved impossible. But Leonardo's work with this project led him to consider a plan first floated in the 13th century, to build a large canal that would bypass the impassable part of the Arno and connect Florence with the sea. He mapped the canal using exact measurements of the land. It passed through the Serravalle Hills. But centuries later, the highway from Florence to the sea was built along the exact route Leonardo had chosen for his canal. In 1503, Leonardo was commissioned to paint one of the most famous works of his career, a massive fresco for the council chamber of the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. This was no mere painting, but a massive fresco twice the size of the Last Supper. It depicted a major historical event, the Battle of Anghiari. He abandoned the Battle of Anghiari project before the fresco began to deteriorate, after 3 years of work. In 1503, Leonardo da Vinci began painting what would become the most famous artwork in the world, the Mona Lisa. At first glance, it may seem like just a simple portrait, but there's so much more to it than meets the eye. This painting, with its mysterious smile and unmatched artistry, has captivated millions for centuries. The Mona Lisa showcases one of Leonardo's favorite techniques, sfumato, a way of blending colors so smoothly that there are no visible lines or edges. This is what gives the woman in the painting her soft, almost otherworldly glow. And then there's her smile. Oh, that smile! Is she happy, sad, amused, or hiding a secret? It's this ambiguity that draws people in and keeps them guessing. But who is she? That's a question that has puzzled art lovers and historians for centuries. Some say she might have been Princess Isabella of Naples, or even an unnamed courtesan. Others have suggested a more personal connection, speculating that the model might have been Leonardo's own mother, or even his apprentice, Salai, dressed in women's clothing. The most widely accepted theory, though, comes from an early biographer who identified the woman as Lisa del Giocondo, the wife of a wealthy Florentine silk merchant. This ties into the painting's original Italian name, La Gioconda. Some believe the portrait was commissioned by her husband to celebrate the upcoming birth of their child, which might explain why she seems to have that calm, maternal presence. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. If the Mona Lisa was indeed commissioned by the Giocondo family, they never actually received it. Leonardo held onto the painting for the rest of his life, constantly tweaking it as if it were never quite finished. For him, it wasn't just a portrait, it was his pursuit of perfection, an endless experiment in capturing the essence of life itself. And where is the Mona Lisa now? Today, she resides in the Louvre Museum in Paris, encased in bulletproof glass, and considered a priceless national treasure. Millions of people from around the world visit her every year, standing in awe before her captivating gaze and enigmatic smile. The Mona Lisa isn't just a painting. It's a mystery, a masterpiece, and a piece of history that reminds us of Leonardo's incredible genius. Through her, we can see not just a portrait of a woman, but a reflection of Leonardo's endless curiosity and his relentless quest to make the impossible possible. In his workshop, Leonardo da Vinci often sat surrounded by sketches of birds, their wings frozen mid-flight. He was fascinated by how they soared effortlessly through the air, gliding on invisible currents. To Leonardo, it wasn't just a marvel of nature, it was a challenge. If birds can fly, he thought, why not humans? With that in mind, he began designing a machine inspired by the bat's wings. He called it the ornithopter. Picture it, a wooden frame with two large wings made of silk, designed to flap like a bird's. Leonardo envisioned a person strapped into the contraption, using pulleys and levers to power the flight. In his mind's eye, they would rise above the ground and soar through the skies, free as a bird. Leonardo wasn't just guessing. He carefully studied how birds moved. In 1505, he compiled his research into the Codex on the flight of birds. He noted how their wings created lift, and how air currents helped them stay aloft. His sketches captured every detail, blending his love for art and science into one brilliant idea. Although his flying machine was never built, Leonardo's dream didn't stop there. His ideas laid the groundwork for aviation centuries later. For Leonardo, the joy was in dreaming and discovering, even if his feet never left the ground. His flying machine reminds us to dream big, even if the world isn't quite ready for our ideas yet. Who knows? Like Leonardo, we might inspire the future. As Leonardo da Vinci entered the later years of his life, his creative spark and insatiable curiosity showed no signs of fading. From 1508 onward, his life became a blend of quiet reflection, scientific exploration, and creating works that would cement his legacy as one of history's greatest minds. In 1508, Leonardo found himself back in Milan, this time under the patronage of Charles d'Amboise, a representative of the King Louis XII. It was during this period that Leonardo increasingly focused on scientific studies. He delved deep into anatomy, using his keen observational skills to sketch detailed dissections of the human body. These studies were far more advanced than what most scientists of the time had attempted. His notebooks became treasure troves of knowledge, filled with sketches of muscles, bones, and organs. Leonardo wasn't just drawing. He was uncovering how the human body worked, from the mechanics of a heartbeat to the intricate connections of nerves. His approach combined science and art in a way no one had done before, capturing the beauty and complexity of life itself. Leonardo's curiosity extended beyond anatomy. He was fascinated by the natural world, particularly the behavior of water. During these years, he compiled the Codex Leicester, a collection of studies on hydrodynamics, exploring how water flowed, formed whirlpools, and eroded landscapes. To him, water was the lifeblood of the earth, shaping everything around it. These studies revealed Leonardo's profound understanding of nature's interconnectedness. He wasn't just observing water. He was trying to unlock the secrets of rivers, tides, and rain, even speculating about the relationship between water and air. In 1513, Leonardo moved to Rome, hoping to find new opportunities under the patronage of Giuliano de' Medici, brother of Pope Leo X. At first, Rome seemed promising, but Leonardo's time there was marked by frustration. The city was abuzz with artists like Raphael and Michelangelo, who were deeply engaged in grand projects, but Leonardo, now in his 60s, struggled to find commissions that matched his ambitions. Instead of large-scale works, he turned inward, focusing on personal studies and experiments. He explored ideas for alchemy, optics, and mechanics, while also refining his earlier projects. His notebooks from this time are a testament to his restless mind, filled with sketches of fantastical machines and experiments that would inspire future generations. In 1516, everything changed when King Francis I of France invited Leonardo to his court. Relieved to leave behind the competitive atmosphere of Rome, Leonardo traveled to Amboise in the Loire Valley, bringing with him several of his most treasured works, including the Mona Lisa. The French king admired Leonardo immensely, treating him with great respect and granting him the title of premier painter, engineer, and architect of the king. Leonardo was given the beautiful Château du Clos-Luz, where he spent his final years. Though his physical strength was waning, he suffered from paralysis in his right hand. His mind remained sharp. He continued to teach, sketch, and dream, sharing his knowledge with young artists and thinkers. It was during this time that Leonardo reflected on his life's work. He considered his many unfinished projects and unfulfilled ideas not as failures, but as part of a greater quest to understand the universe. His restless spirit had always driven him to explore new horizons, even if they lay just beyond his reach. Leonardo da Vinci never married, nor did he have any known children. His personal life remains something of a mystery, with historians piecing together details from his writings, accounts from contemporaries, and the world he inhabited. In Renaissance Italy, marriage was often a matter of societal expectation, but Leonardo chose a different path. He seemed wholly dedicated to his work, his art, scientific studies, and endless curiosity about the world. Some believe that his focus on creativity left little room for traditional domestic life, while others suggest that he valued his independence too much to be tied down. Though he didn't marry, Leonardo wasn't a solitary figure. He had close relationships, particularly with his apprentices and assistants. One of the most notable was Gian Giacomo Caprati, known as Salai. Salai entered Leonardo's household as a young boy and stayed for decades, becoming his companion and assistant. Their relationship was a complex one. Salai was known for being mischievous, but Leonardo seemed to have a deep fondness for him, even leaving him some of his works in his will. Leonardo also formed friendships with other prominent figures of his time, including powerful patrons like Ludovico Sforza in Milan and King Francis I of France, who admired and supported him during his later years. There has been much speculation about Leonardo's sexuality. Some historians suggest he may have been gay, based on records of a scandal in his youth, when he and several others were accused of sodomy. The charges were dismissed due to lack of evidence, but this episode has led to ongoing discussions about his romantic inclinations. Above all, Leonardo seemed more interested in understanding the world than in building a traditional family life. His notebooks are filled with observations on nature, anatomy, engineering, and art. These writings reveal a man whose greatest passion was exploring the mysteries of life, often at the expense of personal relationships. Leonardo da Vinci passed away on May 2, 1519, at the age of 67, in the Château du Clos-Luz, a manor house in the Loire Valley near Amboise, France. He had been living there under the generous patronage of King Francis I of France, who deeply admired and respected Leonardo. As he aged, Leonardo faced health challenges, including partial paralysis of his right hand, which affected his ability to work on large-scale projects, but didn't hinder his capacity for drawing and teaching. Despite these difficulties, he remained active in his studies and enjoyed a peaceful and well-supported final chapter of his life. According to legend, Leonardo died in the arms of King Francis I, who had grown fond of the artist and regarded him as a close friend. While this touching story is debated among historians, it symbolizes the immense respect and admiration Leonardo commanded even in his final days. After his death, Leonardo was buried at the chapel of Saint Florentin, a small church near the royal Château d'Amboise. Unfortunately, the chapel was badly damaged during the French Revolution, and it was eventually demolished in the 19th century. The exact location of Leonardo's remains became uncertain as records were lost, and his original gravesite was disturbed. In the 19th century, human remains believed to belong to Leonardo were discovered near the site of the chapel of Saint Florentin. These were reburied in the chapel of Saint Hubert, also located on the grounds of the Château d'Amboise. Today, a grave in the St. Hubert Chapel honors Leonardo da Vinci, but the precise identity of the remains has never been conclusively confirmed. While questions remain about the exact location of Leonardo's body, his legacy is immortal. His genius continues to inspire artists, scientists, and dreamers around the world, making his final resting place a site of homage and reflection. And that brings us to the end of the incredible journey of Leonardo da Vinci, the man who dreamed beyond his time and changed the world forever. His life reminds us to stay curious, to ask questions, and to never stop exploring the unknown. If you enjoyed this story and want to uncover more fascinating tales about history's greatest minds, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Share this video with your friends, and let's keep Leonardo's spirit of curiosity alive together. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.